Ancient Egypt existed in one of the hottest environments on Earth. The desert sun was relentless, the air dry, and shade scarce. Summer temperatures regularly rose to levels that could kill an unprepared person within hours. And yet, millions of people lived, worked, and built a civilization that lasted for thousands of years. Survival in this heat was not accidental. It was the result of adaptation, knowledge, and discipline passed down through generations. The first key to survival was understanding the sun. Ancient Egyptians structured their entire day around it. Work began at dawn, when temperatures were still manageable. The most intense labor was done early in the morning or later in the afternoon. During the peak heat of midday, activity slowed or stopped entirely. This was not laziness, it was survival. Fighting the sun directly meant exhaustion, dehydration, and death. Clothing played a critical role. Egyptians wore loose linen garments made from flax. Linen was light, breathable, and reflected sunlight rather than absorbing it. The fabric allowed air to circulate around the body, helping sweat evaporate and cool the skin. Unlike heavy or dark clothing, linen protected the body without trapping heat. Even the poor wore minimal, practical clothing designed for the climate. Homes were built to fight heat naturally. Most houses were made of mud brick, which absorbed heat slowly during the day and released it at night. Walls were thick, windows small, and ceilings low. Many homes were built close together, creating shade and blocking direct sunlight. Courtyards allowed air to circulate, while narrow streets reduced exposure to the sun. Architecture itself became a survival tool. Water was life. Egyptians depended entirely on the Nile, and they treated it with deep respect. Water was collected early in the day, stored in clay jars, and kept in shaded areas to remain cool. Porous clay containers allowed evaporation, naturally lowering the temperature of the water inside. Drinking was frequent but controlled, preventing dehydration without wasting precious supplies. Diet also helped regulate body temperature. Egyptians ate light foods that were easy to digest: bread, vegetables, fruits, and beer. Beer, thick and low in alcohol, provided hydration, calories, and nutrients. Heavy meals were avoided during the hottest parts of the day. Food was fuel, not comfort. Skin protection mattered as well. Egyptians used oils and ointments to protect their skin from sunburn and dryness. These oils reduced moisture loss and prevented cracking, which could lead to infection. Both men and women shaved their heads or kept hair short to reduce heat and parasites. Wigs were worn for protection and status, not warmth. The desert was never underestimated. Travelers moved at night or early morning, guided by stars and landmarks. Caravans planned routes carefully, knowing that a mistake could mean death. Shade, water stops, and timing were matters of life and death. Religion also shaped behavior. The sun god Ra was both revered and feared. The sun was seen as powerful, life-giving, and dangerous. Respecting its cycles was part of divine order. Ignoring them was not just foolish, it was sinful. Ancient Egyptians did not conquer the desert, they learned to coexist with it. Their survival depended on knowing when to work, when to rest, and when to surrender to the heat. Every aspect of daily life was shaped by the need to endure the sun one more day. Surviving the desert heat required more than daily habits. It demanded strict discipline, shared knowledge, and constant awareness of the body's limits. Ancient Egyptians understood dehydration long before they had a word for it. They recognized the signs: dizziness, weakness, confusion, and collapse. When these symptoms appeared, work stopped. Ignoring them often meant death. Farmers and laborers adapted their movements to conserve energy. Tasks were slow and deliberate. Sudden effort under the sun was dangerous. On building sites, workers rested in shaded areas between periods of labor. Overseers allowed this, not out of mercy, but necessity. A dead worker produced nothing. Survival depended on endurance, not speed. The Nile played a critical role in cooling the land. Its annual flood lowered surface temperatures and increased humidity near the riverbanks. Villages were placed strategically close to water, but above flood level. The desert beyond the Nile was avoided whenever possible. Most Egyptians lived within a narrow strip of land where life was sustainable. Beyond it, the heat and dryness became lethal. Medical knowledge, though limited, addressed heat-related suffering. Priests and healers prescribed cooling baths, shade, rest, and herbal mixtures. Remedies may seem primitive, but they were based on observation. Those who ignored treatment often did not survive. Heat exhaustion, sunstroke, and infections from cracked skin were common killers. Animals were treated as indicators of danger. If livestock refused to move or collapsed, humans followed their lead and stopped. Nature was observed constantly. Survival in the desert meant paying attention to every sign. Death from heat was not dramatic. It was silent. A worker would slow down, become disoriented, and eventually collapse. Without immediate shade and water, recovery was unlikely. This reality shaped behavior more than laws or threats. Fear of the sun was learned early and never forgotten. Despite the danger, massive projects continued. Temples, canals, and pyramids were built under the same burning sky. This was only possible because ancient Egyptians respected the limits of heat. They did not fight the desert, they planned around it. Their greatest weapon was patience. Even religion reinforced survival strategies. The sun was worshipped but never challenged. Myths warned against arrogance and disobedience. The desert was seen as a place of chaos, where order did not exist. Staying alive meant staying within the boundaries of Ma'at, balance, restraint, and respect for natural forces. Children learned these rules early. They were taught when to seek shade, how to carry water, and how to recognize danger. Knowledge was not written in books for most people. It was taught through survival itself. Mistakes were rarely repeated because few survived them. At night, the desert cooled rapidly. People slept on rooftops or in open courtyards to escape the heat trapped inside homes. Stars guided travelers, farmers rested their bodies, and the land finally allowed recovery. The cycle would begin again at dawn. Ancient Egypt survived not because it defeated the desert, but because it understood it. The heat shaped their architecture, clothing, work, religion, and even their sense of time. Every sunrise was a test, and every sunset was a victory. In the end, survival in the desert was an everyday achievement. Not heroic, not celebrated, but essential. The ancient Egyptians endured one of the harshest climates on earth through knowledge, restraint, and respect. And because of that, their civilization did not burn away in the sand. It endured for thousands of years, shaped by the very heat that should have destroyed it.